Well, welcome back. Welcome back to Extraordinary Drummer. As you know, I'm your host, Cheron Moore. Today, well, I've came full circle, y'all. This young man, would you believe he's already playing drums for 33, it's about 32, 33 years already. And it seems like it's only been maybe 5, 10 years already. He's number one in the business, y'all. You all know him. His credits reads like who, which we'll talk about in a second. Help me say hello to Thomas Pridgen. Hey, man.
Hey, how you guys? What's up, man? How you doing?
It's good to have you on the show, man. I appreciate you coming down.
All good.
Yeah, man. How you feel?
All right. It's a good day. It's Wednesday. I'm acclimated to this whole lockdown thing. So it's like the new normal.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you about that. What you doing with this quarantine thing? Getting your chops up? What you doing?
Yeah, I've been practicing. I've been doing a lot of drum lessons, and then I've been recording because I have like my setup so I can like fully record like 13 tracks. So I got like full multi-track setup with lights and cameras in my drum room. So I've been recording for people and trying to stay focused. And I've been practicing, but you know, I've been actually taking the time to, you know, enjoy being home because this is the first time I've been home for longer than 3 months.
Man, when you say lessons, are you giving lessons or taking lessons?
I'm giving lessons, but I did take a lesson. I took a lesson from Mike Mitchell, and I took a lesson from Justin Brown because I just respect those dudes so much. And when the moment I am Brian Carter, I took one with Brian Carter too. When I get people on like FaceTime, I just be like, teach me something. So, you know, I take a couple lessons, but I've been giving a lot of lessons. So, yeah.
What do you when you do your drum lessons? What are you focusing on with these? Are they younger people or people at the same level that you are?
No, it's it varies. Some people can really play, and then some people, you know, are just stuck in the house and they got an electronic drum, and you know, this is the first time they've had time to like, you know, practice drums in years. So yeah, it varies. A lot of times I just try to like work with people on like 4-way coordination. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times you'll learn all these, you know, these rudiments, and if you call them out, you'll be like paradiddle. Everybody can play it. But then the moment you start adding foot pedal, you start adding a bass drum, a lot of times people get all nervous and they're not used to it. So I'll add bass drums in like some of the rudiments that are in 4. I'll put the bass drum in 3. Or if the rudiment is in 3, like a double paradiddle's in 3, I'll put the bass drum in 4. You know what I mean? And if maybe the rudiment might be in 5, so I'll put the bass drum in 3. You know what I mean? So it just a lot of 4-way coordination type ideas, and like hands. Like I would focus a lot on hands because a lot of the teachers that I had, they were really sticklers of, you know, just technique and like, you know, the way drums are supposed to sound. So I teach a lot of different stuff.
Let me ask you this, Thomas. Your generation of drummers are taking a lot of, well, I say it because mine was a different generation. And the difference was they're saying that your generation of drummers are really busy. I'm sure you're hearing this. They're really busy and they're playing all over the place, and it's almost like playing a solo in the middle of a ballad. And the difference was my generation was more grooving, more just staying home in the pocket and grooving. What do you say to that, and how do you explain it? How do you explain the way you guys are thinking now? You're playing faster, there's a lot more notes. It's really innovative. The notes are like this big. When we played notes like that big, what do you say to that, and do you think that that's happening?
Well, your generation had to fit into a mold. Your generation had to fit into a mold to get on the cover of Modern Drummer. Your generation couldn't say what they wanted to get in the cover of Modern Drummer. Your generation couldn't even be themselves. You know what I mean? So, and I'm not saying everybody wasn't themselves, because you still got like Steve Jordan. You got some dudes who was out. You know, you got the Will Cahoons. You got some dudes who were still being themselves. But at the same time, the way, you know, people want to be in the door. You know what I mean? So a lot of people played the game. You know what I mean? They played I want to get on a DCI video and I got to, you know, thank all my companies and all that. But like my generation can pay themselves without having to get a gig. Like my generation could go open up a Patreon and do videos online and make money, or YouTube. So they don't have to care what people say. They don't have to care about an MD firing them. You know what I mean? Because they can't, like me, people get mad at me for stuff I post, and like, you know, they wish they can go to somebody and get me fired. You know what I mean? They wish they can go, but I mean, like, or go to a drum company and get me off the roster. But the reality is that, like, if I played CB700s, I would sound the same. I would sound the same on CB700s, bro, with cracked cymbals, because this is me. This ain't, yes, I play these drums, but it ain't the drums making me sound good. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to play the game. So the people that are looking at the internet, they want instant gratification. I don't want to wait too long to hear you play a fill. You know what I mean? I want to hear the fills. Or you got those people, and then you got also the people that's going to the internet to see the youngsters just to steal fills. Like, they don't like you. They don't give a fuck about your culture. They don't care about nothing. They want to steal the field. They're going to steal whatever you're doing, and then they're going to go and do exercise 7, and they're going to be playing your stuff for their own community, for their people, and they're going to have Patreon and all that stuff. I've had teachers come and ask me for lessons so they can take my stuff and teach they kids. It's like, okay, that's cool, but they do that. And you know, I think what I do like about your generation is that you guys had an understanding of musicality. You know what I mean? People knowing how to play music with other people, where a lot of the guys now, they don't play with other people, so they don't get it. You know what I mean? Like, I pattern myself to play with musicians. So I tried to play with some of the, I would turn down gigs with horrible musicians, great paying gigs, horrible musicians, just to play with the people I wanted to play with. So I'm used to playing with like horn players and bass players that are amazing. You know what I mean? But a lot of kids my age, they didn't get that opportunity. They just play on the internet. You know what I mean? And the internet is instant gratification. Like, from the skate videos on down, I used to watch skateboard videos that was an hour and 30 minutes. I haven't seen a skateboard video hour 30 minutes in a long time, because you can go on the internet and just watch 1 minute clips. You know what I mean? And it feels, and the 1 minute clips things, it's like having a DCI video, without having to like waste all this time watching like some guitar player play with your favorite drummer. You just rather hear the drummer. You know what I mean? Like, it's just instant gratification. And I don't really know if everybody is playing more fills. I think that you're seeing more drummers, because everybody you had to depend on certain people's media. You had to depend on, I wonder if the cymbal company is going to run my ad. Or I wonder if when DCI is going to put my video, like, man, a lot of people wouldn't have known of Dennis Chambers if it wasn't for a DCI video. But now those companies couldn't even put out a video with they wouldn't get no traction, because no one's checking for that. People would just, because the social media is so different. Like, even Modern Drummer magazine has been trying to figure it out. They went from having Dave Weckl 3 times a year to having Chris Dave on the cover and Aaron Spears. You know, like, when I was a kid, that was unheard of, bro. It was like they hated us. You know what I mean? They would sit there and put Neil Peart. Neil Peart has been on so much, and like, I respect him, but he's not that good. You know what I mean? So when I look at it, these companies and these people have played nepotism. They played I used to say racism, but it's really nepotism, because a lot of these dudes was fans. They were fanboys, and then they get to be A&Rs at these labels and these places. And since they was a fanboy, they like, I gotta give Neil Peart another symbol. It's like, bro, Neil Peart is a millionaire. He don't need another symbol. It's kind of how, you know, sometimes they try to do Travis Barker. It's like, we're going to over promote this guy because we know that, you know, they hide it behind, I know he's going to sell. But the real thing is they want to be interconnected with something that they feel of is importance. And the other things, if you don't beat their door down with a Gospel Chops video, they will act like you don't exist. You have to literally fight them tooth and nail by being so important that they can't stop responding. They get tired of it. They probably, if I wasn't so on the internet and people didn't fuck with me the way they would, these companies would be so not fucking with me. because I don't hide what I feel. Like, I don't hide what I feel about racism. I don't hide what I feel about them. I don't hide it because it's like, you can't take my job. You can't take nothing from me. You know what I mean? And the moment everybody else start feeling like they can't take nothing from you, then they gonna start acting different. Even the music companies, even these record companies that rape every musician. Like, this is a time for everybody to be like, yo, take my music off iTunes. Take my music off Spotify. But everybody's so scared that they go lose out to something, that they don't make the leap to make these people play ball. You know what I mean? They gotta play ball because they need us. Dude, when I look at the internet, these kids, I be literally arguing with people who have a completely different belief than me. You know what I mean? If I feel like, I'll be like, Black Lives Matter, and they'll put all lives matter. And when I look a week later, they still following me. You know why? Because they want to see what the fuck I'm doing. So it's the same with that. It's like, these dudes, they check for us because they know we got the spice. They know we got the juice. And then we give it up by like not understanding how prolific like our culture and the way we are doing things are. Like, people like Benny Caliuta is highly influenced by Tony Williams. Like, if you just watch him, man, and same with Steve Gadd. They're highly influenced by Yogi Horton and Tony Williams and Elvin Jones and all the dudes, and Roy Haynes. They are highly influenced. But when you see what happens in media, especially drum media, I have every modern drummer ever printed from the start. I have every one. If you look at all the earlier ones, Buddy Rich is the greatest drummer in the world. I'm like, man, it's not possible. It's not possible. Buddy Rich was better than everybody when he's stealing everybody. So I trip out on that because that's how they do us like that. They wait, don't play a funk beat, man. I feel like if you black and you play a funk beat, people will be like, oh, that's cool. But if you white and you play a funk beat, you are the messiah of funk. You'd be like, how? You know what I mean? And that's just how they play that game. And that's how they've been playing that game. And for me, I'm over it. So I'm not really silent about it. I just do what I want.
What happened with the Volta band? That's the name of them? Mars Volta. What happened with that band?
Man, I got it. Well, what ended up happening was we got into it over money, because I was playing so many solos on so many records that I wanted my royalties. And I feel like they thought I was just some kid from the hood, because I was living at the hood when I met them, but I think they didn't think I was smart. I don't think they realized how many people that I had met who had been like, yo, make sure you get paid. So I was frustrated with them about the royalty situation. And then with that, just started making other stuff with the lead singer. He started to just like not feel me for, I don't even know why really, but I feel in some levels it was like, when you play shows where it's like you got a whole album that's full of drums, the moment you get on live, it's gonna be full of. So he was tripping because he couldn't sing through all the stuff. Like, he would do a couple shows and be fun and then get hoarse. And so I don't think he was happy. And so he didn't really say that he wasn't happy with me, but you could feel it when somebody's throwing your drums in the crowd. Like, he's throwing my drums in the crowd and then wouldn't talk to me, like, over silly ass. And I'm like, bro, if you're going to throw my drums in the crowd, like, you could at least talk to me. You know what I mean? So just like little stuff like that. And it just, ran its course. And like at a point it was like, dude, I can't do this with y'all because this is not fair. And this dude is a nut. And so, and and I'm that guy that if I'm not feeling it, I'll just walk away.
We got a thing on the show we call Word of Advice, where we ask the drummers if they'll leave a parting word of advice for the up-and-comer drummers, the guys that's trying to get traction, the guys that want to become the next Thomas. Let's just say it the way it is. What would you have to say to those guys? What advice?
My main advice for people is to Like, man, okay. When I say, okay, I always tell people to learn every style, but when I mean learn every style, I mean like don't play like, okay, if you're a gospel dude, don't play jazz like a gospel dude. Like learn jazz like you hear the greats play jazz, like finesse and a sound and a vibe and an energy and encompass the whole thing. And same with like Latin and like Afro-Cuban music. Like you got to learn these styles in a and I don't know the word right now, but just make it be authentic, like an authentic sound, like the authentic sound that you hear on these records, and then dive into your thing. But you gotta know you gotta know what it is before you take it out, because then you can at least pay homage and you can play these things in a way that it still keeps its tradition. Like I think some of this stuff is tradition, like just like certain jazz things are tradition. And when you don't do it, like if you don't play the hi-hat and play swing, it's crazy. And so I've always taught people to learn every style, but I want to be descriptive when I say this, is make sure you're authentically learning these things and really diving in deep into the artists that, you know, have made these styles of music big. You know what I mean? So if you're, you know, if you into gospel music, don't just be into like gospel chops. Go dig into like, you know, Joel Smith and Liddell Abrams and the early Calvin Rogers and early Marvin McQuitty and, you know, Commission and bands like that and the Winans, you know what I mean? James Cleveland. Like make sure you authentically learning this stuff so you can have these influences and you can have these places to take from, but you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? You have a conscious idea of what you're doing. And so my thing that's always made me have a good career at this is learning a lot of styles, because if people, sometimes it's just not, sometimes like right now, people sending me tracks that they want me to play on and they're all different. Some of them be some crazy fusion thing, some of them be some straight pocket, some of them be, you know, some rock, you know what I mean? So I have to change my energy in my own room, and with the drum set, I gotta know what the sound of this thing is. You know what I mean? I can't go just play a super big rock song on an 8, 10, 12. It just don't sound good. You know what I mean? So it's just like, just knowing the sound, like knowing what John Bonham was doing. Like even if you're not really into it, you should know what that was. You know what I mean? Same with Neil Peart. I can speak about it because I listened to it. You know what I mean? I can speak about these people because I actually paid attention to what it was. So it's good to learn every style of music, but really dive deep into it. Don't just be on the surface and be like, I listen to that and that's all I got. Like really try to dig into it, because the more styles of music that you can play from an authentic, you know, perspective, the more gigs and the more people can't take your opportunities. Because if you get lowballed in an R&B situation, you can always play rock. If you can't do rock this time, maybe it's a funk band that needs a drummer, or maybe that funk band now you want to play Latin, or maybe it's a Latin band that wants to have a rock energy, but they still play salsa. And that's the Mars Volta was literally that. The Mars Volta was a rock band that played salsa. You know what I mean? It's like, so I had to like knowing how to play heavy music and playing Latin was the reason why I was such a perfect fit in that group. Because when they go into some salsa thing, I'm already there too, because I've been playing that my whole time. So it's good to learn every style and learn how to tune your drums.
While we're doing this interview, there's a couple of things that I got to get in here. One, we got to talk about your grandmother. She was so influential in everything that you are enjoying now. And I remember her. Can you talk about her? And in that same note, how did you get started playing drums?
Okay, so my grandmother that everybody knows is my mom's stepmother.
Okay.
So my home dynamic was crazy, but I played drums all the time because I went to church. My mom's mom wasn't here. So it was my grandmother that I know and my grandfather, and they went to church all the time. So if we woke up on Sunday and didn't go to church, we couldn't do nothing. So we would go to church, and we went to one of the most popular churches in the city, and they had an 8 o'clock service, 11 o'clock, sometimes at 3 o'clock, and they had an 8 o'clock service. So they had 4 services, and the 8 o'clock service was broadcast on the radio. So everybody from all over the country used to come to this church because it was a cracking church. So my grandmother played piano in church. So since I was in church so much, you know, she played piano, I was just there, you know what I mean? So I was always, you know, in church, the funnest thing to watch is the drums, you know what I mean? So I sit on the drums, and next thing you know, I'm acting like I'm playing drums on the seat, you know what I mean? So she just saw that I really, like, I was taking an interest to it, and she bought a drum set. And then
Remind us of your grandmother's name again.
my grandmother's name is Addie Thomas.
That was it, Addie Thomas. I remember her.
So she, you know, she saw that I wanted to play drums, and the first drum set that I got it from Toys R Us, and I just tore it up. And then the second drum set I got was a Remo Junior Pro. And I remember I got a blue Remo Junior Pro. And yeah, when I got a Remo Junior Pro, I think I was maybe 2 or 3, maybe 3. And so we got the Remo Junior Pro, and then she wanted me to get drum lessons because she saw that I really liked it. So she tried to get the drummer at church to do it, and he couldn't do it. And then she actually went to a music store and asked somebody who was a piano player to actually teach me. So he said I had to be 5, but I was like 3 or 4. And so I wasn't of age to play. So I'm left-handed. I write left-handed, but I play right-handed. And the reason why I play right-handed is because the teacher he made me switch my hands over like this. So he had me playing like Mary Had a Little Lamb. And so every time I was always into it, but every time I got to a certain level, you know, it kept me on it. So my grandmother one Christmas might buy, you know, a drum set. The next Christmas, she might buy a snare drum. You know, my birthday coming up, she might buy a foot pedal. So it kept me engaged. You know what I mean? She didn't make me do it. It was keeping me engaged by just giving me things that were drum related. You know what I mean? Like I was also being a kid, like going outside and playing basketball, doing all the same stuff kids do. But I was always into playing drums, and I always had access to playing drums. Like a lot of kids, that's the problem. They can't play in their house. You know what I mean? So that was part of the blessing that I could play in my house. And so by the time I turned like 6 and 7, it was other drummers that were my age in the church because the church was huge. So I grew up with other kids who wanted to play. So then that starts that whole like, man, I want to see what Q is about to do next time. You know what I mean? And then, you know, then when I got older, you know, after a while, I met Ronald. And then it was like, I wonder what Ronald's doing. Then Tony is like, I wonder what they doing. You know what I mean? So it kept me practicing because it wasn't like the internet now where everybody show you everything they practice. You know what I mean? So it was like we had a camaraderie, but we also was like, next time I see you, we about to shed. So it was also like a friendly competition. So it just, you know, going from each step, you know.
I remember your grandmother bought you. This happened a few times, but one time I was playing the gospel brunch at BP King, and your grandmother brought you in. She brought you.
I got pictures of that.
Sit in, let him sit in. You remember that?
Yes, that's funny, dude. I got pictures of that.
You serious? Yes. Oh man, she was the sweetest lady, man. Yes. Everybody knew her. Everybody said yes to her, and it was really about you, but it was about her, man. She was just a doll.
My grandmother always used to say, man, she said, your gift will make room. That's one thing she used to always say to me.
That's the scripture. Leave me on this one, and this is the one that I told you I would mention. Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. How you doing with that? How you feeling that?
I mean, obviously Black lives do matter. You know what I mean? My issue with Black Lives Matter is just like, I know that it's funded by some crazy people, and I know it's a funded organization. And so like the part that's funded, I don't really dig, but the idea and the movement, I'm all about. You know what I mean? I understand like defunding the police. I believe in defunding the police. I feel like they get too much money, and they get all this money, and they say it doesn't go to their salaries, but it goes to their salaries, and then these people move and they don't live in the community. So now we paying for your kids we paying for you to put your kids in a nice school outside of our community, when y'all come to our community and y'all harass us and y'all sit there and y'all, I've gotten arrested for sitting in front of my own house. Loitering is a crime here. It's a crime outside my house. But if I go to Home Depot, it ain't loitering. So I don't want to. So for me, I love the movement, but the organization and I know the funding is crazy to me. You know what I mean? To watch my whole neighborhood, like Oakland. I remember when Oakland has been boarded up most of my adult life. So the moment Oakland was not boarded up and we had business flourishing, it was cracking, and I loved it because I was always like, this is what I thought. I remember this could be this, and I used to think this could be this, and now it's that. So the one part that I don't like is that everything is boarded up. And a lot of it has to do with, COVID, and a lot of it has to do with the protests and the rioting. But I do believe in the movement. I'm unsure about the people running it. I don't know what kind of people they are. And I feel like we should do more. I feel like they should essentially make crime against all Black people really hard to commit. Because when you voice a certain amount of energy and when it comes to like the streets, when you walk the streets and you say we ain't gonna go for you killing the 8-year-old, it sends a message to a lot of people. You know what I mean? It sends a message to people who think that that's cool. It sends a message to people who don't snitch on people who do that. Like, I mean, we should snitch on certain people. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need to snitch on dudes selling weed on the corner, but we definitely should snitch on people shooting people and shooting kids, man. So I believe in the movement, and I don't know. I got my popcorn because I think I used to go out and protest, but I think my protest this time is a little different.
You know, as I listen to you, tell me where does this fall with you? But you sound like the Elvin Jones of our day, Elvin Jones of now. Because he went through everything you say Elvin went through at his time, and you sound like the Elvin of 2020.
I met Elvin, man. I met Elvin. I saw Elvin at his last gig.
Wow.
Yeah, man. I seen him. He had the air tank and everything. His wife pushed him to the drums. I seen him last gig. Crazy.
Good guy. Thank you so much for being on the show, man.
All love.
I really appreciate it, man.
It's all good, man. I'll see you later, man.
Will you help me wave goodbye to the audience? Tell everybody.
Peace, audience. I'll see you later, man. Nice meeting you guys.
All righty.